Off the top at 5, I'm Nicole Perez, live in London. Queen Elizabeth II was eulogized today at Westminster Abbey, with many world leaders attending her funeral, including President Biden.
The royal family was visibly emotional at today's funeral service. For King Charles III, tears flowed as the choir played God Save the King. And now Queen Elizabeth II is home at Windsor Castle, where she will be interred next to Prince Philip. Nicole is live in London now with more on the Queen's funeral. Nicole.
And people arriving very early in the morning at Westminster Abbey, some even camping overnight. But that not only there, they also did it here near Buckingham Palace, some camping for days just to say their final goodbye. Stirring scenes of British pageantry and royal tradition on full display for Queen Elizabeth's final goodbye. Bells from London to Windsor tolling through the Queen's funeral. The coffin met with a gun salute at Windsor Castle for that final mile to her resting place at St. George's Chapel. In London, members from every branch of Britain's military on hand for the rare state funeral. It began Monday morning at Westminster Hall, pallbearers drawing the gun carriage with the Queen's flag-draped coffin adorned with a wreath of flowers, the imperial crown, scepter, and orb. King Charles leading his siblings and children in the royal procession behind the Queen's coffin to Westminster Abbey, the church where Queen Elizabeth was crowned as monarch more than 70 years ago, and where she was married. The Queen's great-grandchildren joining the procession inside the church, filled with about 2,000 mourners, including hundreds of dignitaries and heads of state. The grief of the royal family visible during the service, the King's eyes welling with tears while the choir sang God Save the King. Authorities estimate about 1 million well-wishers crowded central London streets to see the solemn event, some of them watching in mournful silence, others clapping in reverence.
That was the lump in the throat moment,
I think,
when the coffin came by and so slowly, and the family behind.
The emotional farewell to Queen Elizabeth II, capping 10 days of public mourning, where tens of thousands waited up to 24 hours in line to pay their final respects. Others camping out for days just to see this moment, Britain's longest reigning monarch now laid to rest. For the last 11 days, the Queen's coffin has gone from Balmoral to Edinburgh, here to London, and finally ending in Windsor with a private service for the royal family. Calvin, I'll send it back to you.
And you talked about the St. George's Chapel. What is the significance of the Queen being interred at St. George's Chapel, Nicole?
Calvin, the Queen is now back with pretty much her entire family. Her father's buried there, her mother, her sister, and she will also be buried right next to her husband, Prince Philip. We also know just a little while ago that private service for the family that was not televised has officially ended. The Queen is finally in her resting place.
Our Nicole Perez live for us in London. Nicole, thanks a lot. Stay with Local 10 for continuing coverage of the Queen's death. Nicole will have one more live report from London tonight coming up at 6 o'clock. We have a special section devoted to the Queen on Local10.com.